Thank you, Mr Speaker. I move this House calls on the Labor government to immediately cease the taxpayer-funded Ipsos polling commissioned by the Department of Premier and Cabinet and immediately release to the public the full results received to date. The LNP is calling on Labor to immediately stop taxpayer-funded secret polling and publicly release all results. We are demanding action from this Palaszczuk Labor government because keeping these polls hidden only fuels the reasonable belief that taxpayer money is being surreptitiously used to run the Premier's re-election campaign. This cannot be allowed to continue. Executive government should not be the engine room for Labor's campaign machine funded by taxpayers. $400,000 of taxpayers' money is being funnelled into electioneering. That's so secret that the Premier is also blocking its release in Cabinet papers. What could possibly justify information about Queenslanders being too secret to share with the very people it impacts and who have funded it? Labor treats executive government and the public service like its own political plaything. When Queenslanders' money is being spent, there must be transparency and accountability. There's simply no justification for this secret polling to continue to be locked away from public view. Queenslanders value integrity in government, and their priority is a government that works for Queensland's best interests. The only interest Labor is working for is their re-election. They're more interested in fixing their image than fixing the problems faced by Queenslanders. Now, 500 days ago, the Goldrake Review, Let the Sunshine In, was released in response to the integrity inferno engulfing this state Labor government. And the Premier Palaszczuk said she would lock, stock and barrel adopt recommendations which included releasing Cabinet documents within 30 days. Well, 500 days later, that still hasn't happened, and the Premier's department is blocking the release of the Ipsos sentiment polling results funded by the taxpayer, claiming Cabinet incompetence. Now, the reaction to the Palaszczuk Labor government's latest integrity scandal over these secret polling funded by the taxpayer has really riled up a lot of people in our community, and with good reason. The Centre for Public Integrity Chair Anthony Wheely KC said, and I quote, "It is really disgraceful. It is black and white. It's a complete undermining of public integrity." This secrecy, I think, is indefensible, and the public is entitled to know the outcome of this polling and what it is really about. Transparency International Australia Chief Executive Clancy Moore said, and I quote, "With an election around the corner, it does appear this public-funded polling of people's views on government policies could be for political purposes and a potential misuse of public money." End quote. Now, when Premier Palaszczuk was elected in 2015, she said that accountability and transparency would be at the forefront of her government's agenda. And, to quote, "No one is more committed to good, honest government than me." End quote. Well, hasn't a lot changed? Did the Premier mean it when she stated that in 2015? Well, she may have, but she's certainly not demonstrating it now. This taxpayer-funded polling is a complete rort. This government, in the way that it's acting, is opening itself up to allegations of corruption. It's time they release this polling. It is an abuse of the public purse. It is abuse of the public trust. Only the LNP has the right priorities for Queensland's future and will restore integrity to government. An LNP government will always prioritise the needs of Queenslanders above media and spin and manipulation. We've already seen this government, in the lead-up to the 2020 election, spend over $500,000, also in secret polling. So they have form. They have form. Why is it secret? If it's in the public interest, the public have a right to know. It's time that polling done in the dark is brought into the light. because this government controls what its opponents can spend of their own money, of non-taxpayers' money in an election campaign, but they can dip their fingers, their sticky fingers, into the hard-earned cash of Queenslanders in order to stay elected. That's corrupt, that's a rort, and that's got to stop.